according to this most wonderful volume on page 145, back in the Middle Ages there were a number of forms of divination which used molten wax or metal being poured upon water. The diviners would then use their skills to interpret the shapes or symbols or apparent forms which developed in the blobs of metal or wax. And of course by the 15th century tea drinking had become rather popular, especially in Northern Europe, and it was noticed that the particles of tea in the cup would sometimes move into patterns that were recognized from the older time divination methods. And so divination from tea or tea leaf reading has some kind of connection to a much more ancient practice, which in itself may have been initiated by still more ancient practices. So, in my attempts to give rebirth to this most ancient practice, I'm going to exploit my tea infuser, a teaspoon to measure out my leaf tea, and some common or garden regular loose leaf tea, and my absolutely wonderful kettle for the purposes of this demonstration. Do remember that what I'm about to do is connected intimately with some very ancient forms of divination or witchcraft that has been done for centuries here in Northern Europe. Despite the fact that we're only using a commercially available tea and an infuser got from a herbalist supplier, this is something which goes back centuries, even to before the days when we had tea as a popular beverage in Europe. Well, now of course the next stage is actually to drink the tea. That will be if I was to be continuing the tradition in its true and honest, authentic manner. So here we go. Here's to tradition. Well, it's quite nice so far. Now, I'm just down to the last few drops of my tea, and we'll see what patterns emerge as we explore the ancient article of tasseomancy. Well, what I saw in there was something which looked remarkably like the shape of the plough. So now I've got to try and work out from, the key which is written here what that could be referring to. It says here the handle represents the consultant, which would of course be myself, and the respective house surroundings and occupation. So it's to do with me. That's the first thing that we could say. It's definitely talking about things to do with myself and about my life. Let's see what else we can see in the cup. Something which resembles a boat. Now let's see if there's something which is close to that. Well, it's got a message of an anchor. If it be a sailboat, proceed with your plans. If a large ship, wanderlust and desire for escape can change your present situation. Wise words indeed. Of sorts, of course. What else can we see here? Something that looks like a sword. Be alert for domestic and occupational quarrels. So, a possible change of direction brought about by my own wanderlust and desire for escape. Possible problems to do with the work and some disagreements at home. Now that looks an awful lot like a tobacco pipe. A time for thinking and listening. Do not be opinionated and try to be fair-minded. Something that reminds me of, I mean, this is weird, I mean, I don't know whether it'll appear in the book. It looks like, it just comes through to me as being like the old-fashioned hinges on the gates. You know, a very large plate with a long bit sticking out there, you know, like on a medieval church. Is there something here for a hinge? And if there isn't, maybe I should be looking up gates. There is no hinge mentioned here, but there is a gate. A satisfactory solution to a vexing situation. That's quite an interesting story if you think about it. So it's to do with myself, situations to do with disagreement, possibly to do with the work itself. Well, my family have always been a little shaky about the possibility of me doing this work for a long-term career. A caution on my side of things to not let my impatience run away with myself, and an awareness that there could be an optimistic outcome or future. Well, whether you think there's something in tea leaf reading or not, I think you'll agree that that's quite an interesting story which has emerged as a result of trying a very ancient oracle based upon my favourite beverage. Happy tea drinking, everyone.